Hey everybody, I'm Amber.
And I'm Maddie.
And we're Witches Talking Tarot. And tonight, this Halloween, we're going to talk about traditions. The traditions we grew up with and the traditions that we have created for our own spiritual paths and practices and with our own families as we have gone from child to parent in the transition in life. That comes in play later on Thursday.
From maiden to mother.
Yeah, exactly.
First of all, I just have to say, do you like our spooky?
Yes.
Like, you
We
can't see the
dressed up
cauldron,
just
but you
for
can
you.
see the smoke.
We've got Witchy Wednesday, and I'm going with Witchy Vampire because this dress makes me think of vampires.
I tried to do
100%.
Wednesday. Everybody's gonna see and be like, "That bitch ain't Wednesday."
I
feel
mean,
like it
it's
looks
like
Wednesday.
okay, we're recording a podcast. We're not gonna. We're giving you a vibe, people.
Right?
Accept it.
Exactly right. Like, look, bro.
I put on lipstick for this. Okay?
Oh my god, that reminds me. I saw the funniest shit, guys. It was a TikTok, and it was this girl who was like, "Would you or would you not pick me up, or if I was the person you were picking up for your Uber?" And it was her dressed as Sloth from the Goonies, complete with red high heels for some reason.
I love it.
It was hilarious. Oh my gosh.
That unlocked some weird memory. Red high heels with Sloth. That's weird.
It was so
what the
weird.
Fuck? What time?
And one of the comments, I have no.
I swear to God.
One of the comments was actually the first thing that I thought, which was in girl world, or there's two types of girls on Halloween, and it's like there are,
There fucking are. There are. They're the I'm a sexy something, and then there are the girls who dress like Sloth with high heels on. I like to think I'm a sloth in high heels kind of gal. I mean, I've never done that, but
I feel like I'm probably more of like the sexy ones, if I'm being honest with you. I'm being honest.
So there was a point in my life where self-esteem wise, I couldn't be an ugly costume because I couldn't handle
like people staring.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Now, I don't give a fuck. I have hit the point where I can do that. But it took time. It took a lot of time and like shadow work. Check out season 2. But, okay, so as we get into traditions, let's start with our own childhood. First off, I want to ask you a question. What was your favorite Halloween costume from childhood that you your costume?
CZ, vampire, like 100%. I was a vampire girl. So I was a House of Night vampire. Sean,
Nice.
if you're listening, if you're watching, you know.
Fuck yeah.
You know. Had the crescent moon. I still do that shit.
Hell yeah, absolutely. When I was 11-ish, I talk about this on the episode of Dustin Can Read and Watch. So check out his show. He's great. He's a good friend. And hi, Dustin. I know you're listening. So thanks again for having me on. It was so much fun. And I'm going to talk about that costume again. So my best friend and I, when I was like 11 or 12, we were spaghetti and meatballs.
Aww.
It was our own conception. Like we decided, let's be spaghetti and meatballs. How will we be spaghetti and meatballs? And so we had to come up with how we would do the costume. And so we each got like an off-white sweatsuit, like tan, like really light tan. And then got yellow and red yarn and like glued it all over randomly. And then little pom-poms in red and brown for meatballs and put them all randomly over. And because I'm blonde, we poured an entire bottle of red food coloring on my head.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. How'd that go?
Well, I had like red staining going on for a couple days. It was pretty great because it wouldn't come off. And I wasn't allowed to dye my hair when I was younger. So like that was pretty cool. It looked like I had a head wound. I dug it. I was into horror full-fledged at that point. So I was like, fuck yeah, looks like I got a head wound.
So,
rock on.
Speaking of costumes, and this episode's all about traditions. I don't know if this is a tradition or not. I'm going to go ahead and classify it as a tradition in my household. Every fucking year, my bitch sister, and I say that with love.
I did not know where this was going.
I say that with love. Because it's hilarious and we still laugh about it to this day. And my mom would get so pissed. We'd go Halloween shopping. And this bitch was so picky. She was one of those kids that was like, hey, what about this one? Do you want to be this fairy? No,
Yeah.
it's purple. What the fuck? You know,
Oh.
like, or she'd be like, no, I don't have any shoes to match that. I don't want to be that.
It's Halloween.
I know, and it was
Like-
so annoying. She would always be the last person to pick a costume. And by that time, it wasn't even her picking the costume. It was my mom going, you're going to be a fucking purple fairy and you're going
That's
to
what
like
you, yeah,
it.
you got, yeah.
Like,
That's
and
right.
then she'd go home every year crying on the way home, I don't want to be a purple fairy.
Ah.
And so I guess that is a tradition. And I think that's a tradition probably in many households.
Right? There's that one kid. Like, I usually got to be what I wanted. There was like a series of years after my mom first went back to work. Like, 'cause I realized as I was thinking about this episode and just thinking about Halloween in general, there was the Halloween, the way it went before my mom went back to work, and then Halloween, the way it went after my mom went back to work. Because before my mom went to work, she always wore that black dress that I wore on Saturday, the one that with the thing around the neck.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like that's her dress that she gave me. So like as I pass it down, it becomes an ancestral dress, which I love. But she always wore that dress with those earrings that are on the table over there that I wore the other night. They're like right over there. You probably can't see them because that bottle of cleaner, I realize. But I'll get them. I'll show you. They're like crescent moons with stars. They're really pretty. I love them. They're heavy as shit. She was always a witch. And she would do blue makeup to be like hollow out her cheeks and whatever. And she'd make chili and she'd pass out candy when my dad took us trick-or-treating. And he always dressed as a prisoner. Like we had an old like black and white striped jumpsuit. And
Just like
even,
recycling the costume
yes.
over. Okay.
Oh yeah, the same costume over and over again. And it had like a ball and chain like attachment, like a plastic one. So he was a prisoner and
Yeah.
whatever. Like it came from like some wedding gag because a ball and chain.
Oh, LOL.
Right? Like I liked the costume less after I heard that story,
That's
to
funny.
be honest. But he would take us trick or treating, and then like after Mom went back to work, we lived in Florida. Chris and I got home. We went through this big trunk full of costumes, and there were the prisoner outfits. There were 2 of them. There were 2 orange and yellow clown costumes, and then random other costumes from things we'd been throughout the years up until that point, including a Peter Pan costume from a play that I was in as a kid, which I once put on my dog because I took Susan trick-or-treating too when I could. But some kids lit off firecrackers and she ran off, and it was Florida, and I was convinced that she was going to get eaten by an alligator. Yeah, because she was a fucking collie, and I was like, she gonna die. So I was really sad, and I never took her trick-or-treating in Florida again. But like we would just grab a costume out of that, we'd get costumed up and go trick-or-treating. Whoopsie. We'd go trick-or-treating until like the sun went down and a little bit after, and we'd be home by like 9 o'clock. Mom would still have chili made though, and we'd eat chili when we got home and then get to have some candy. And a couple of years, my mom made me special costumes. Like one year, I wanted to be a princess, and I have this purple princess costume, which I still have. It's in my closet. None of my kids ever wanted to wear it because it wasn't like the princess costumes from Walmart. I'm like, bitch, it's better. Your Nana made this. Like, and it's like really pretty, like satiny, like, because I was supposed to be like a Renaissance era princess. I had like the cone hat and everything. Like, my mom made all of it. My mom made my wedding veil. She's really great with that kind of stuff. But like, that was like, in a nutshell, that was my childhood Halloweens. And the biggest tradition among all of them was the chili. Like, the chili was a staple. No matter how things changed throughout the years, the chili was a staple. And I find that very comforting as I think about it, because like, things did change as we grew older and we got more independence, and our parents had more responsibility and more bills and more life thrown at them, and we adapted with it, which check out next episode.
You know, I have to say, this is, again, not a tradition. My family didn't really have Halloween traditions, unfortunately, which is something I do want to create with my children, but I'll get into that. But a memory that I have that I love is of my mom dressing up as a cow, complete with udders, and my baby brother, who is about Theodore's age now, being a baby cow.
That's so
And he kept
cute.
trying to run away, so my mom got tired of it and pulled out a rope from the back of the truck and tied it around her waist and around his waist. And he was running and she pulled on it and he fell on his ass. It was so funny. I know everybody.
Spoken like a true big sister.
Everybody on the fucking street was like, who are these redneck motherfuckers with a rope around their kid, dressed
It went
as a
with the
cow?
costume.
And then my dad was a farmer. And my sister and I were princesses. We didn't really go, but like it was great.
I love
Fucking
that.
fun. But we didn't have traditions. We just have funny Halloween stories.
Yeah.
And I want to create traditions with my children.
Yeah.
It's my
It's
time
important.
to create
Yeah.
the traditions.
Absolutely.
And
yeah.
I love your tradition of chili
yes.
because
And I have carried that on to this day, guys. Like,
I love
there
that.
were a couple of years where I was a working mom and we had pizza,
Mhm.
but the pizza had tomatoes and garlic and peppers, so it had the same elements as chili.
Mhm.
It just wasn't. It wasn't chili. But
I would
you know,
love that. I'm wondering
definitely.
like chicken noodle soup or something warm
Something
because
warm.
Halloween is cold or it
Yeah.
was cold.
yeah, no, it's gonna be cold again this year.
It
It's
is.
40 degrees outside
It
right
is
now.
fucking cold.
Yeah.
I stuck my head out the window earlier and Bryson was like, I can see my breath, and I didn't believe him, and then I could. So.
Yeah, well, and what I love about the chili tradition specifically is not only is it something warm and filling in your belly before and or after going trick-or-treating, but it's packed full of protective energy with the peppers and the garlic and the hot peppers and the chili powder. Like, it's just so, and onion, so much protective energy goes into that
Well,
meal.
and
Like,
yeah,
just so
absolutely.
much, as well as love, because
Oh, yeah.
chili is a meal that has to be tended, you know what I
Right,
mean?
exactly.
So it's like a mother's love and protection
Mm-hmm.
in edible form.
Ask Lily Potter. I
Yeah,
mean, that's
I'm
fucking.
just saying, like,
Like-
my mama knew. She knew. She may not have been a witch, but she knew.
So I was considering doing. I'm so sorry. I'm choking on. this.
I was gonna say we don't have to keep it here. We just did this for you guys.
Whew. I'm choking on the smoke.
See that? Ooh.
We'll have to do it again for the next episode. But anyway, so I'm considering doing something similar as a kitchen witch, like some sort of meal incorporated. I'm wondering, like, what about chicken noodle? Because chicken noodle is all about health. And Samhain/Halloween is the witch's new year.
Yep.
So I feel like if you have, like, chicken noodle soup infused with all the health and wellness
Yeah.
in it, you're inviting
that.
health and wellness and all that into your
and
life.
There was this thing that I recently learned or heard the theory, and it makes perfect sense. You know, along with being the witch's new year, like, you don't plant intentions in the wintertime
Right.
because the ground is frozen. You plant your intentions now, like in that soup,
Yes.
and then they can germinate all winter long,
Mhm.
so that they can bloom in the spring. Which winter and spring are 6 seasons, so like that's a
Exactly,
really good
yeah.
idea. Like,
As you were saying,
to
that
germinate that, and you know, like
draw that
it's,
in for
yeah,
the
it's
health
like,
and wellness
yeah,
for
it's
the
like
winter season.
It's a foundation of health.
Yes,
for the new year.
exactly. So I
love
think
that.
I think
That's
that would be
great.
good. But I also like your chili one because it's protection on a night that you need protection.
Protection,
So
absolutely.
I feel like both like
They're
the
both
chicken noodle
applicable.
or the
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
different reasons. But I was inspired by your chili thing. I'm like, I want to make something. A lot of people do cookies or oh my god, I can make my own candy, but fuck that. Like that sounds like
My
a lot.
mom, oh my god, she was superwoman. She used to make her own candy.
She did.
She
Was
made
it
caramel
hard candy. Or?
She always made caramel apples at Halloween, and at Christmas time, she always made chocolates for everybody. Like,
Oh yeah.
she had a shit fucking ton of candy molds. Like, we had Sesame Street
I'm
candy
looking
molds,
for a frog
Teddy
one.
Bears
I'm
candy
looking
molds.
for a frog
We
one.
had so many candy molds. Like, I wish I still had them. I would let you pick through them. Like, she had so many. And, like, you'd go into the kitchen. I know this isn't Christmas, but whatever. You'd go into the kitchen. Sorry, guys. You'd go into the kitchen and, like, every fucking available countertop would have a candy tray with, like, some candies that were in a level of... Because, like, she would do the colored
Goals.
candies.
Goals.
Like, she would do, like, she would get wreath molds. And then she put red, white chocolate in the little berry areas, and then green over the rest.
So she
and
would
some-
go all out.
She would go
Oh my
all
god,
out.
we should make like little
Oh,
mold.
fuck yeah, I'm down.
Like we should totally.
I'm down.
I really wanted to do.
I know how. My mom always
Yeah,
did it when
I
was
know. We
growing
should
up.
do it. Like I really wanted to do chocolate frogs this Christmas. I wanted to do chocolate frogs so bad, but I don't know where the fuck to find a chocolate frog mold. Like, I feel like I looked on Amazon, but it was expensive.
Oh, okay.
It was, like, super expensive. And then my cousin Ariana looked on Temu and Shein. They didn't have anything. And it's like, I just want a goddamn chocolate frog. Just like I want some goddamn pumpkin butter. Oh, that would be a fun tradition to do. Making own
pumpkin butter. Yeah, no, that's kind of what I was thinking earlier when you said that. Because, like, you know, making stuff is a huge part of the craft. And, like, so traditions that we have created for ourselves throughout the years are really important because they're the traditions that you grow up with, and you keep some of them and you get rid of some of them. You know what I mean? Like, we always, well, I guess we did keep the tradition. Like, one of us always stayed home and passed out candy while one of us took the kids trick-or-treating. One year, I just have to say this, one year we were the Addams Family, so I love that. Roz was Wednesday. I was Morticia. Corey had to work, otherwise he would have fucking been Lurch.
Yeah.
I know
You
Gomez
that.
works, but, like, he would have been a good Lurch.
I ship it.
Yeah, like, Lolly was
Actually,
a baby.
I can't. I'm sorry. I can't ship Morticia with anyone but Gomez.
I know,
wanted
like,
to.
look, it's just, he would have been such a better...
Tall.
Yeah, he's so tall, guys. So, like, he would have been a perfect Lurch. And Lolly she was like, her first Halloween, she was a spider because I sewed her spider costume myself. But her second Halloween, we did the Addams Family thing, and she was the baby with the mustache.
I love this.
So
Yeah,
cute.
like Orion Lester. Cute.
So fucking cute. But
Hubert.
like, you know, there's costume traditions. Like if there's, you know, like there are things you can hold, and then there are things you put away with, and you make your own traditions. Like I always leave an apple on Samhain out for the Fae because I'm just an intuitive witch, and before I knew what apples were associated with, it felt right. Apples felt right, and now I know they are right. You know what I mean?
I used to, before I had kids, my husband would work, and then I would have Halloween off. I always tried to make sure I had Halloween off because it is a spiritual holiday. And I would watch scary movies and pass out candy to kids and eat the candy while I'm passing out the candy to the kids. And it was a great time. I actually enjoy and kind of, in a bittersweet way, miss those holidays where it was just me at home giving candy to kids, watching scary movies myself. I mean, I say it's a bittersweet way because I would not give anything to go back.
Right. You enjoy having your kids, but you enjoyed the traditions you had for yourself.
Yes.
Which is like, so I get that because there were years where it was just passing out candy, taking the kids trick-or-treating. But like when Lolly was about 3 years old, we decided, because I always wanted to have a Halloween party when I was a kid. And my parents never did that kind of stuff. And so I was like, I want my kids to. So we did a Halloween party with our kids when they were little. It was just them and us. And it was usually the weekend before Halloween. That's what we did
That's
as a
what
family.
I was talking about doing with
like,
you.
We would
or
do
not
like
with you, but in the car.
an eyeball. Yeah, we put an eyeball. Well, we did it like Corey would be the game master, and like there was the eyeball in a cup, and which cup has the eyeball in it.
Oh, that's
so cute. Yeah, and it was like festival games, and that's when we did bobbing for apples the most because it was just family, and there weren't other kids to have their face in the water and stuff. So we do bobbing for apples, and we do those carnival games, and like find the queen and which cup has the eyeball under it. And I painted a zombie, and it was put the eye on the zombie, so like
that's
pin
cute.
Pin the tail on the donkey, like very similar to like the bigger Halloween parties that we started having later. We also would do just me and the kids. We'd bake and watch movies together, but like that wasn't the same as the Halloween party that we started doing for them. And as they got older and started going to school, then they could invite friends over. Like we'd have like they each got to invite one friend at first, and then like we'd have our friends come over that had kids, and the kids would each invite one friend over. So and eventually it became this great big Halloween party where we do pumpkin bowling, which is the best, guys. I have to tell you all about pumpkin bowling. You get 10 2-liter bottles, and you empty them of soda, and you fill them partway with water. And
Don't waste the soda.
Yeah, drink the soda.
Drink
Don't
it.
just
like
pour it out.
Make punch with it. That's delicious fucking punch with
Yes,
like sherbet.
exactly. Like that, we've done that so many years because we're not going to drink a shit ton of soda right away, right? So we would make those punches.
But we'll drink the punches.
Yeah, exactly. We'll drink the punch, and there's like a fuck ton of kids to drink that punch with us. You know what I mean?
Dude, I think I had that punch at Orion's birthday party.
Right?
So good.
It's good. And you can put the sherbet in it.
Yeah.
And like, so in this house, we have the long hallway.
Mm-hmm.
So I discovered the best way to do it, because in the other house, we didn't have a hallway, and it was just an area of the house that we did it. You set up these 10 2-liters. They're all halfway full of water. You've got a glow stick in them. You put them in a dark room. We line Dollar Tree $1 cheap throwaway tablecloths down the hallway.
Mm-hmm.
We put those cheap ass glow sticks down the hallway. Turn the lights out, and so everything's glowing. It's like the bowling alley when it's like got the black light thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a pumpkin that you have drilled holes into.
Oh, yeah? Is it a little pumpkin? Or
Yeah, it's like a pie pumpkin.
Uh-huh.
And then you go pumpkin bowling.
Oh, that's
And you bowl until the pumpkin shatters. And if you really want to keep going, have multiple pumpkins.
That sounds
Because,
fun.
like, yeah, it is fun. It is. That's why I have to tell everybody, including you, because, like,
little
my
messy,
favorite,
but
it is a little messy. But the first couple years, we didn't use real pumpkins. We used, like, fake ones that you buy at the store. But it's really hard to knock down the pins that way. But with a real pumpkin with holes,
I imagine it is
like,
a lot
the
easier.
adults will be drinking and lined up for pumpkin bowling, just like one after the other, and the kids will be like, we want a pumpkin bowl too. And like, everybody loves pumpkin bowling, guys. If you have a Halloween party, pumpkin bowling. It's super cheap. It's super fun.
It sounds super
It's messy,
fun.
but the boys will love it when they get big enough. Like, Theo's probably old enough.
Oh,
that
yeah,
you
he
can
would
have him do it, and he
absolutely
would
fucking love
yeah.
it.
And
He
I
would
mean,
love it.
you know, and you can have the chill Halloween party one night,
Mm-hmm.
and you can have the fun, like, not that they're not both fun, but like the upbeat games and here are treats. Because like when Corey was the game master, they won pieces of candy.
Well, it's
Because
like,
they didn't go trick or treating for as long when they were that little, you know. So
Right.
they didn't have as much candy that came home with them.
and like speaking as moms, it's our job to help create the
These
memories.
Yes,
Yes,
exactly.
oh my
Because
God.
like the Halloween parties are some of my favorite memories. Like bobbing for apples and everybody's laughing. And the greatest thing about the doing multiple things for Halloween, which was a tradition in our household, is multiple costumes. Because the kids always dressed up as something different for the Halloween party as they did for Halloween. And when we would do the baking and watching movies together, if they wanted to dress up, they could, and they would do it in a different. So some years they dressed up in 3 different costumes, and they had fun. Like they had fun with that. I love costumes, so like I am all about letting them because like
Oh
you
my
said,
God,
you
last
gotta let
year-
them have the memories.
Theodore, my son, dressed up as Spider-Man. You got those pictures, dude. He was pissed. He was so pissed when we first put it on him. I'm like, Theodore's first Halloween costume. He's like, what? Oh,
Mom!
Orion was so cute though. He was just smiling and happy as fuck. Like he's like, I got my mustache on, and like was just so chill.
I must ask you a question.
He had his little like black lipstick kiss on his head. He was so exactly. He was so cute. It was so much fun.
Oh my God, yeah.
But I was talking with Amber on the way here about creating different traditions and like incorporating candy, but also some health food in there because my
Right.
kid is at that age where he is obsessed with candy. But I also don't want to be that bitch that's like, no, you have to have carrots for Halloween.
Right, and there's
No.
a healthy
Here's
balance.
an apple.
Right, and there's a healthy balance.
Yeah.
So like I was telling Maddie, so you guys with little kids, you can take broccoli and cauliflower florets. You cut them off so that they stand up. You take a piece of lunch meat and just drape it over there, or cheese. You could do cheese, like
yeah.
you. I used lunch meat or the singles, craft singles, because my kids loved them. And then you punch out 2 little holes, and now the vegetable is dressed up like a ghost.
Well, and
And
it's like
got a costume.
I was telling you the orange pepper you can make little jack-o'-lantern, which I
Yes.
still need to do that.
And everybody
Oh my
loves
gosh.
pigs in a blanket. So Halloween pigs in a blanket is you just shred the crescent
And like-
roll
like a
and you
mummy.
mummy it up, and then it's little mummy rolls, and it's not unhealthy food, but
Right.
it's still Halloween, and it's fun traditions that you can have with your kids, and like those are the things I'll be doing with my grandkids because my kids love them.
I am in a Facebook group. I'm not going to say the Facebook
I'm
group
closer
or
to
anything.
that than I realized.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
But
Facebook group. Sorry.
yeah, I'm in a Facebook group. It's for kitchen witches, and there's this girl who does something every day for October. Every day she does like feet loaf, and she does like a foot in the shape of like a meatloaf, and just she did actually. I love this idea. I thought about doing it for my kids. It was a hamburger, but on a cheeseburger. I'm sorry. Homemade, and then the cheese she cut out in the shape of a jack-o'-lantern.
Oh, that's
so,
cute.
and she didn't put the bun on it. She's like, look, there's your jack-o'-lantern burger. Yeah, so like she just had so many really cute ideas.
So many ways to do little things for little kids to get them in the spirit,
Oh, he's
and like
so
get them
excited.
excited for things other than candy.
Right,
Like
and
seriously,
he's
like
so
it is because
excited.
like I was that kind of mom when mine were little because like I was a stay-at-home mom and like.
Might
There's
as well.
so many,
You
so
got
many
nothing better to do.
opportunities.
I mean,
Exactly.
you do. I'm a stay-at-home
I mean,
mom,
yeah,
but you
I was
know
like,
what I mean.
I'm trying not to diminish it, but yeah, like you have a lot of time. Like I used to do things for my family with the kids.
Mhm.
So like I would cut out orange jack-o'-lanterns, and then I would teach the girls to write their names by having them sign their names in all these cards for the family. So like Corey's grandma and his parents,
Mhm.
my grandma and my parents, because when the girls were little, my grandma was still alive and his grandma was still alive up until last year. So like we sent them all sorts of little things like that, and it was a craft that they weren't big enough to cut out the jack-o'-lantern, but they could decorate it by like gluing on face pieces, because
yeah.
you can do just a pumpkin and let them do the face pieces. And these are traditions that you can have for before they start going to school. And then, once they're older, that can morph into now we're carving pumpkins together. And now you're carving a pumpkin on your own while I carve my
don't
own
say
pumpkin.
that. That makes me sad. But it's important. Transitions. Check out our next episode.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
didn't mean to slap that. Sorry, you guys.
We'll slap that around if we want to. It's our show.
So spiritually speaking,
Yes.
a tradition that I do have is I leave 2 offerings for the ancestors on my altar. I have 1 glass of wine and 1 cup of black coffee. I chose those specifically because black coffee is great for ancestor work, and I like the red wine.
Yeah, it feels appropriate.
It does.
It feels appropriate to the season. It feels appropriate for the ancestors.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's a heart healthy thing, and if you think about it, the heart is a direct line to your ancestors.
Exactly. And
You know what
also,
I mean?
I do leave an offering for my goddess. Sometimes it is wine, sometimes it's herbs. It really depends. Like, and a new tradition that I started last year is one where I leave an incense offering for my goddess and my ancestors every day of October. And I collect the ash from those incense as it's lit throughout all of October, those offerings, and then I put them in salt, and I make and I add different herbs, and I make a protection salt blessed by my goddess Hecate as well as my ancestors.
Yeah,
And then I
that's
put
so
it around my
beautiful.
house. Yeah.
No, I love that. I started a new tradition because of something we discussed on the show last year, where on Samhain night, I burned the offerings I've been. Excuse me, that incense smoke is thick, guys.
Yes, it is.
See what we do for you? We put ourselves in harm's way. No, I'm just kidding. We just thought it would look cool. I just thought it would look cool, and I didn't think about the ramifications of my lungs. Anyway, and I burned all of those offerings on Samhain night, and then I kept the ashes, but I didn't like the way they smelled, and I did not make my black salt out of them like I thought, so I ended up putting them out in the yard, I think on the Day of the Dead. So I mean,
As like for
as an
me,
offering,
I don't
so-
keep
so
the
like-
black salt. I just immediately I make it and then immediately use it, because for me it's like one giant wall of protection.
No, I get that.
And
that
upping
makes
it
sense.
every Samhain, it lasts exactly 1 year, and then you're upping that protection again.
Yep,
And it
and-
thins as the veil thins.
And
Not
that-
that it thins, but you
But
get
yeah,
what I'm
I know
saying.
what you're saying.
Okay.
Yeah, no, like as as the veil thins, the power from the black salt, it doesn't go away, but
Right.
it lessens.
It lessens and it needs re-upped with the other ones. And I
Yes.
love using the incense of the offerings that I left for.
I think that's beautiful. Yeah.
And I always light an offering for my ancestors and the goddess Hecate. And I think those two just go hand in hand anyway.
Yeah, and I understand they do go completely hand in hand. Like, I work with the liminal a lot, and I am what would be classified as a death witch. I have been finding out as I've been discussing with my friend Fire Lotus the Witch, who is a death witch and does that practice a lot. And as we've been talking about things, I've realized, like, not only do I work with the liminal, I am a death witch. I am a psychopomp, and I have the ability to help spirits and help spirits cross the veil. I have the ability to cross the veil. It just, like, it makes sense. And a tradition that has come along with that practice is on Samhain night, I walk the graveyard to make offerings to the dead.
I'm only laughing because of what happened last time.
When
Or
we
the
went
time
together?
before-
Oh,
no.
no, when the cops came.
When the cops came,
Yeah, y'all.
it's a beautiful
No,
practice.
it
It's
is,
just, you
yeah.
guys should have seen it.
It was no, because I had
You were live on
this
Facebook.
lantern. Oh, I'm sorry. I had this lantern with this very candle in it, and an incense inside the candle. So this was full of smoke, and smoke was billowing out of it.
I bet it was beautiful.
And I was live on Facebook, and I was walking through
You're like,
the
oh, there's some
graveyard,
cops over
and
there.
then I was like, I'm gonna end my live because there's some cops checking out my car. And I woo-wooed my way out of any kind of trouble. Like, I was all like, he was like, what you doing out here in the graveyard at midnight? And I was like, well, it's the most sacred celebration of my religion.
He's
And
like, this bitch is
I-
crazy.
Yep, I went for it. I went all in. This is fucking Joplin.
You're like,
and I
blessed
woo-wooed
Samhain, officer.
Yes, I did. I was like, blessed Samhain, officer. That is
I love
exactly
it.
what I said.
I
and
love
I
it so
woo-wooed
much.
my way through that shit.
And that is not the tradition. That is the cop thing.
The
is
cop
not
thing was
the
new
tra-
for last year. I'm going again this year. My oldest daughter may or may not join me.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah,
That would be so
yeah.
awesome.
I won't lie. Like, it is somehow it is less creepy on your own than with another
Really?
person.
Really?
Yeah,
I wonder if you're
I think it's
feeding
because you're
off each
feeding
other.
exactly.
Really,
That's
I bet.
exactly because when the first year I went, I shit you not, guys, I could feel things pulling on my cloak,
Mm-hmm.
and when I saw it in the light, there were no plants to grab my cloak
Oh my gosh.
where I was walking. But I like to take my herbs that I have not, like, predominantly my mugwort and my wormwood that are left over from the year, but whatever else I feel called to that I have in abundance, I mix together in a bag and I leave as an offering. Last year, because I did the live and my hands were going to be full, the incense was the offering. That's why I had the incense in with
Right.
the candle. That way I could make the offering and still have my hands free for holding the lantern and holding the phone. The first year, I did not have a lantern, and I was walking in the dark, and again...
I remember the first year you did it because
Yeah,
you were
it's-
like, seriously, like, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this. I'm like, do it.
Yeah,
And
it's
you did
great.
it, and now it's
yeah.
become a tradition.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
has, yeah, because...
Follow your gut and your
Yeah.
instincts and do what you're called to do,
like,
even if it
it's
is kind of
beautiful.
scary.
It is. Yeah. Maddie is 100 million fucking bajillion % right. Like, if you want to do it, do it. Yeah, the graveyard is closed after dark. I know that. I'm finding one off of LS Main Road this year. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
right?
fuck the
Yeah, fuck the police. I'm gonna go walking in a graveyard. I'm not disrupting anything. I'm not vandalizing. I am honoring the motherfucking dead because that's what the night's about. And I'm not sure where I'm gonna go, but I'm not saying anything to anybody about where. 'Cause
No, don't.
I don't want to have that. Yeah, that was not fun for me because
Speaking-
later I saw that same cop months and months later, and
He knew you.
he recognized me when I put my hood from my cloak on because it was cold. He was like, "Don't I know you?" And I was like, "Oh my god."
You had to put the cloak on. He
Yes!
was like,
That was
oh.
the worst part about it for me. It's like once I put the cloak on, he's like, "You look familiar." familiar.
You look familiar.
And I was like, he had looked familiar too. And then I knew. I knew
was
in that
so
moment
funny.
why he was familiar.
Well, speaking of walking in a graveyard, I'm going to give a shout out to our Patreon. Guys, we did a whole behind the scenes, like, Patreon
Yes!
exclusive episode walking
We did.
in one of the most haunted graveyards in this area, though I
Yes.
disagree with it being titled that.
I don't. I
really
think it's
do.
just because that one guy that's buried there. And if you
Right.
want to know what we're talking about, I guess you have to listen to the episode.
Yeah,
Because we're not going to say it on here. If you want to be a Patreon, you
Right.
can find out.
thanks, Victoria.
Thank you, Death by DVD.
Thanks, Pam.
Thanks, Melissa.
You guys are awesome. If you want
We
to shout
appreciate
out
you.
on our YouTube and our podcast, then I don't know what the tier is.
Patreon.com/Witches Talking Tarot. And speaking of our patrons, definitely check your mail today. I hope you'll be getting something from your favorite
Yeah,
witches.
that's gonna be so much fun.
Yay! So, like extras if you want to be our Patreon.
Yeah, you get extra
Because
stuff.
we're considerate. That's why we're your favorite witches and the classiest witches you know, which is where you can find us on X.
Yep.
Yeah, well,
we're
classiest
also-
witches.
We're
sorry.
also on Instagram and Facebook at Witches Talking Tarot.
And I think that's it. So thanks for
Thanks.
coming to sit with us for a spell.